Now, as you can see, it's a total mess in here. And it's not just a mess because I'm being untidy. The problem is I've got too much stuff. So I've got a table here. Now, this table used to sit against the back wall of the garage, but unfortunately, since I got the Chevy, nothing can fit against the back wall of the garage because the Chevy takes all the available space. So a lot of tools and equipment that was in the other half of my garage has been pushed into this half, because it's in the UK we'd call this a normal double garage, but I'm afraid one half is now filled with Chevy, and it's very tightly filled with Chevy. It's full. Now maybe you can see that under all that rubbish and plastic sheeting there's a couple of old mountain bikes hidden, and yeah, they are mainly there for decoration. I don't actually go out on them or anything stupid like that, but they do cause me a problem in that they stop me getting access to the lathe, and that little corridor between the bandsaw and the lathe, it's blocked by mountain bikes. So today's little project is to get those mountain bikes off the floor. So I'm going to take them from that position, and hopefully I'm going to install them in a new position above my head here, where they're going to hang down, and I'm going to put a little pulley so I can hoist them up. So what I'm going to do is effectively I'm going to make a big L bracket, and I'm going to fix that to the garage wall, and I'm going to put some pulleys on it, and I'm going to wrap one of the pulleys around the bikes, and I'm going to hoist them up into the roof space of the garage, and hopefully that will just create a little bit more space. Hopefully, maybe, I don't know. So you know I'm not exactly short of tools and equipment, and here's my MIG welder, but unfortunately we won't be using that today for the very good reason it's a bank holiday weekend and it's run out of gas. So I was rummaging through my hoard and I found the remains of what was some trestles that I used to support a kit car that I built many years ago. So this was just hanging around in the stores. So what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to be able to cut this down and reuse it. This is what we're going to make our L bracket out of to hang the bikes up. Well, I'm just considering the angle of the dangle, and I think we want something a bit like this. Now I think there might be a little bit of a bend on this tube, I'm not sure. I think it was already in to start with, because there isn't that much weight on here, and even with this turning moment against here, I think it'd be fine. And the weld that I put on here years ago was done with a big industrial MIG welder, so I don't think that will fail, but I think it's just good practice to put a sprag in. So we're going to put a diagonal support piece in between there and there. And also, just rummaging through the junk, I found this old lifting eye. I don't know where that came from. Oh, I don't know if it's a lifting eye or a tie down bolt. I'm really not sure, but yeah, it will do. So what we need to do, we're going to get this lifting eye and we're going to fix this onto the steel framework here somewhere. I don't think we need this extra length of tube, so we're going to cut this tubing down as well because we don't need the extra length. And we will fabricate this little support strut, and I think we'll just bolt that in. As I say, I haven't got any gas for the MIG welder, so yeah, it'll have to do as it is. It'll have to do being bolted in. So I think we need to put our lifting eye, is that about the right place? I think maybe we need to come out a little bit more. Yeah, I think that should be in. So we'll cut the beam. So we'll put the lifting eye probably midway between the two bikes. So I think the lifting eye wants to go about there somewhere. Well, there's actually already a hole drilled in here, so we'll probably reuse that. What we might do is we might drill a few more holes. And we need to cut the tubing down about there, I think. So that will do. Got to cut the tube again there. So we're just going to bolt on this diagonal sprag to give it a little bit more support. I don't actually think it needs it, but we'll put it on anyway. Just giving myself 3 holes here, so we're going to have a bit of adjustment for where we actually, how close the bikes go towards the wall. Not a lot of finesse here, is there? Of course I could have done this on the pedestal drill or the milling machine, but yeah. That would have required thinking about, and I'm not in the mood. So it's an M10 bolt, so we're going to drill at 11 for clearance. I think perhaps this lifting eye is a little bit over the top in terms of capacity, but well, using what we've got. You know what, I think that's the wrong nut on there. Strangely enough, the nut was absolutely fine. It's the thread that's damaged on this lifting eye, so yeah, get rid of it. There's a heavy timber running across the top of here which I'm going to bolt to, and I'm also going to bolt into the wall at a few places. That drill's rattling there because there's a seam inside this channel and it runs in the middle, so what's happened is the seam has just caught the edge of the drill, and that's what you could hear rattling. So it just so happens that I've got these anchor bolts in stock, and I'm going to use these to fix the framework to the garage wall. But unfortunately, just looking at them, I think they're a little bit on the short side. So normally what you do is you drill a hole all the way through this section, and then you get a bolt which is long enough to go all the way through, and then you just fasten it at the top. But as I say, the bolts aren't quite long enough. I want a bit more penetration into the wall than that. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to counterbore this top section so I can fix them in. So I'm going to fasten them to the back side of the channel, if you like, rather than the front. And the way I'm going to do that is just use a hole saw. Well, it seemed to be this thing that was slipping. Don't tell me this pulley hasn't got a keyway on it. It feels like it's a left-handed thread, this. Thing. So our bolts should drop right into our channel now, which they do. So I'm just bolting on the cross brace now, so I've just got to drill all the way through this channel. Did I come through the centre of the channel? Yeah, close enough. Don't really be able to see that. So what we'll have to do now is just cut the tops off and maybe give it a lick of paint, or maybe not, and then we're ready to give it a try. I've just gone ahead and I've just bolted in this diagonal cross brace, so that's going to just make it a little bit stronger when it's being pulled on by the weight of the bike hanging off there. So what I've got to do next, I'm just going to take this out of the vise, I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to just cut these overhanging pieces off. I've just gone ahead and I've scribed them on the back, so we'll get rid of them. So I bought these two rope blocks. Now I did actually have a look on eBay and I could buy an electric winch for about £40 from China, and that was actually quite tempting because I thought that would be quite funky, but these were just £4 each and I thought, well, I hardly use the bike so I couldn't really justify even spending £40, so I don't know, maybe we will, but for the moment I'm just going to use these little rope blocks to actually give us some force magnification, because otherwise I don't think I'll be able to hoist these two bikes up into the roof of the garage without them. So we installed one of these lifting eyes at the top of our big L bracket, and I've got to connect this to one of the pulleys. Now ideally I'd have a little shackle that would go between the two, but I haven't got one, so we're just going to have to bodge something out of a couple of bolts and a couple of strips of metal. I think that's what we're going to do. So there we go, something like that. Like I bought one, eh? So I've got a piece of heavy timber at the top of the garage wall here, and I'm using these long wood screws to fix in, and annoyingly they've got square heads on them, and basically nothing quite fits them. I've tried all the different spanner sizes, imperial and metric, and nothing seems to fit a square head, so got no idea. Well, it turns out that 1/4 inch Whitworth fits it, so who'd have guessed? How's that looking? Angle of dangle? Does that look straight? Straight enough. Oh, there she goes. Well, principle's right. I think we just need a little bit of fine tuning. Well, I've gone ahead and I've just altered the arrangement a little bit. So I've put another of these lifting eyelets on, and I've moved the pulley block to the next eyelet along. I'm still not completely happy with it. I've got this knot potentially rubbing on here, which we're going to have to sort out. None of the knots are permanent, I'm just playing with it at the moment. But I'm not totally convinced that I've got this pulley arrangement correct, the way that the ropes are kind of crossing over a bit. So I need to go away and give that a little bit of thought. I mean, it should be very simple, shouldn't it, a pulley? But the ropes aren't quite going where I want them to. Seem to be having a twist into it, and you do need to have a twist. The ropes do kind of have to cross over each other, but yeah, for some reason I've never noticed that twist in a pulley block before. But then again, I've never really used a pulley block before. I tend to use chain hoist rather than rope pulleys. So there you go. Anyway, that can be done later. More fettling needed. So I've gone ahead and I've just made this little load leveler to attach to the bike. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do as a final solution. I've kind of just been using what I've got in the junk box, but I think I maybe need some slings or some shackles or something like that. I don't think rope is a permanent solution. Problem with chains is they can scratch the framework of the bike, so you know, you have to put a rubber hose over the top of them or something like that. So I don't know what the final thing will look like, but today I think I'm just going to use this and think about it later. And as I say, maybe the easiest thing to do will be to buy a couple of shackles that will go on here, and then some short slings that will go around the bikes. So I had absolutely no problem whatsoever hoisting it up there, but I think you can see at the top my pulley block's developing a little bit of a twist. So I haven't got the ropes correctly plumbed in, have I? Or something like that. So I'm going to have to go away and have a little bit of a think about that. I don't think I'm going to leave it hanging on that pulley. What I'll probably do is put another couple of strops or ties back to the wall. It's not that I don't trust it, it's just that I don't like leaving things hung from ropes, because ropes can wear. If you get any movement, stuff rocking about over a period of time, they can kind of fray a rope, and you don't have that problem using chains. Well, you do, but it's certainly a lot worse using rope than it is chain. Well, it may not be very obvious from this angle, but I've actually gained a little bit of floor space in that I can actually now see the floor, like a little bit of daylight at the end of the tunnel. So I've got the bikes moved, and we've got them hoisted up at a level that's above the bed of the truck. So that means I can actually reverse the pickup truck in under the bikes and get them out of the way. So I've actually installed a pair of these secondary retaining chains. So I've got one on this side of the bike, and I've got another retaining chain at the front of the bikes, and that one's just going through the front forks. So again, that could do with some padding putting round it. Bye bye for now, thanks for watching.